Good afternoon. This is Matthew Kane, and I'm here with Ron Diamond, who's one of the partners with Checkpoint Consulting and leads up our advisory services division. Today we're going to talk a little bit about understanding EPM, get sort of a groundwork for a series that we're going to do throughout the entire EPM process. Today we're going to have Ron talk to us a little bit about the management operating system and the EPM cycle, and I'll go ahead and turn it over to Ron and get us started. Hi, Ron.
Great. Hi, Matt. Thanks very much. Yeah, so we thought that it would be useful to talk about what is EPM, Enterprise Performance Management. There is a lot of sort of confusion or conflicting information out there. And I found that this point of view typically works for most of our clients and in industry. So what we're going to talk about are 4 cornerstones of EPM and how they're connected and interrelated. And typically the first one is around budgeting, planning, and forecasting. So you could say that that's one of the foundational elements of enterprise performance management is how you plan your business, your annual operating plan, your P&L planning, expense planning, the forecasting you do against plan, your workforce planning, CapEx planning, and on and on and on, project planning, demand planning. So all the financial and operational budgeting, planning, and forecasting you do would be considered one of the primary cornerstones of EPM. Another one is all of the reporting that you do. So we could bucketize it into at least 2 categories. One is the statutory reporting you do, so the financial close and consolidation and external reporting. And the other is more the internal reporting, the management consolidation and management look at the business. Those 2 are interrelated, so that's what that little circle in the middle of that box means. But really, EPM starts to happen when you connect these 2 things, especially when you start doing variance reporting. So both from a statutory perspective as well as management perspective, I want to know where am I to my plan, or where am I to forecast, where am I to prior period or prior year, or historically. So it's that interconnecting, that planning process and data and information you have with where you actually are, with your actuals. And when you find out something's amiss, you're missing a number, you're not meeting expectations, you're far behind, or something's happened in the industry in your business and you have to go back and reforecast. So you interconnect that reporting process back to the planning process. You see this cycle that's built from planning to reporting. I think that's one of the first cycles in most people's implementation of enterprise performance management. The next or third cornerstone of EPM would be analytics that you do. So all that data that you have from reporting that's been turned into usable information because it's collected by week, month, quarter, year, it's collected by product or customer or by any of the dimensions of your business, well, you want to start to drill into those details and find out why did you get what you got? Why did we miss our number? What's the root cause? And one of the ways to do that is to look at trending and variance analysis, to look at root cause analysis, to look at how the results that you got were caused by some of the underpinning reasons. And once you start doing that investigation in an analytical environment, which is part of enterprise performance management, you'll reveal some weak points or some areas of concern, and you'll want to start doing a little bit more reporting. So you'll want to say, let me go back and look for some more reporting. Give me more details on this particular hotspot or this area of concern. And typically that's done in a self-serve way. So people throughout your organization can go after that information and get reports that are meaningful to them on the metrics that matter to them. So another closed loop. The more reporting I do, I analyze for the root cause. And as I'm doing this investigation and root cause, I go back and I ask for more reporting. And then the final cornerstone of EPM is this area of modeling. So these are what-if models or scenarios, and it includes things like long-term or long-range strategic planning or P&L, cash flow, and balance sheet planning, or even operational planning, but with a long-term view. Always asking what if. What if our prices double? What happens to our volume and our market share? What if we hire a bunch more people? What's the impact on cost, on productivity, on sales, on market share? What if we acquire one of our competitors or an adjacent business? What's the impact on debt, cash, productivity, sales, expense, and so on and so on? But you really have to start interconnecting these things. So if I take all of that, the things that I learned when I was doing analytics, and I fed that into these models, so I have more of a fact-based model, then I really start to understand the business and base these models on reality. If I look at the last, 4 rolling quarters of average selling price, I would feed that into my model because that's an indication of what really happened. Of course, the past performance is no guarantee of future results, but you do want to base your models on facts from the past. And let's say you've built a model and you say, yeah, we're going to acquire that nearest competitor. We're going to round out our product stack. We think we're going to be able to bundle and set prices this way. Well, then you want to feed that model back into this analysis process and do some better predictive modeling. So using a variety of statistical or stochastic modeling techniques, you can find out the probability of you reaching some of those models. So again, it's a model. It's not reality. It's a guess. But it is based in all the facts that you know about your industry or your business or what's happened in the past. And let's say you have a great model, you like it, you've vetted it, you've debated it in the business, and you've based it on facts, and you've selected it. That's the model we're going to use going forward. You would use that model then to set the targets in your next plan so that your plan is based on reality that came from the model and using the right drivers. So you understand the drivers of value in the business and what's actually driving all of those root causes. And let's say you do a top-down planning process where you have a great model, it's got some fantastic targets that are doable, and you feed that into the planning process, and it goes from the top down. When it reaches the lower levels of the organization, then you start to find out some more facts about localized competition or about price constraints. So maybe you have a sales team in a region that has a bunch of open headcount. So you learn all of these constraints in your business, and you want to make sure those get fed back into the model so you make a better model. So you see another closed-loop process in EPM. So just to stop for a second, you see these 4 cornerstones. Most people are doing these things already in the silos or using spreadsheets or with different sets of data. So it's when you start to bring all these things together in the middle that EPM really starts to add competitive value, I believe. So we're talking about things like common rules, common ways that the data is transformed, common hierarchies in the data, the way your business rolls up, so that a product roll-up is used in planning just like it's used in analytics, and that those things tie out in an automated way as opposed to spending all the manual time that you probably do that now. So this I call the management operating system, and really to sort of walk through the business story, it starts off on the far left side with your strategic objectives. Let's say you're all about profitable revenue growth and attracting and retaining customers. You go off and you do a model and you ask the question, well, what exactly are we going to be able to do? What's possible in our industry? What level of profitable revenue growth? And you build a scenario and a model and a plan that delivers drivers and targets, and you go off over and you plan it and you say, how are we going to do that? So a plan is who's on the hook, who's committed to deliver what, by when, in what territory, for what product, for what channel, and that becomes your plan. And then off you go and you do it. You do what you do in your business. You pick, pack, ship, acquire customers, make products, deliver services, and you gather all the data that's being generated day to day, and you come back and you ask the question in reporting, what have we got? Where are we right now? What's so? And in that reporting, we find out where our variances are. Then we drill back into the details and we ask, why did we get what we got? So in a nutshell, enterprise performance management is asking those 4 business questions at a corporate level, at finance level, all the way down into sales and marketing and operations, even down to a team and individual level. It's used up and down the organization, left to right, and helps bring the whole thing together. I hope that made sense. I hope I wasn't speaking so fast. Matt, what do you think?
No, I think that's great, Ron, and I really appreciate the fact that you've shared this with us. So I think some of the questions people would have is, if I'm doing this already, or I thought I was an APM, right, but I'm realizing that I'm only doing one portion of this or another portion of this, how do I get started? How do I tie this all together? And, how's that going to make life easier for me?
Well, it's a good question because there is no starting place. What they say is you start anywhere. So like you said, you're already probably doing some of this already. Let's say you're already doing budgeting, planning, and forecasting. And if you have it in something like Excel now, and you have all the problems that are inherent with that around collaboration and sharing and versioning and all of the manual effort of consolidating, and then being out of control with people making up their own formula and massaging the data, probably the first place to look at would be to automate that in a real planning system. But let's say you do have a planning system. Then the next thing to do is to start connecting that into reporting so that you do have common hierarchies, common definitions, common formula between planning and reporting. So you can pick any one of these cornerstones to look at, whichever I guess you're having the most pain in, or wherever you think you're going to get the most business value. And then there's the transformed answer to that question. Somebody who's really mature in adopting enterprise performance management. It's in those arrows. It's interconnecting those cornerstones as a process, so that when I make a plan, it's not just based on prior year plus 5%, but it's really based on a rigorous, well-debated model that based itself on facts that you got from your analytics, which came from your actuals. So you can start anywhere, I guess, is the bottom line.
Great, Ron. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking the time to share this with us. And as we've said, we're going to have a continuing series where I think that we can pick up on some of the other points in a little bit more depth. Things like, how do I actually implement this into my system? What are the things that I need to think about to get ready to do this? Value mapping, understanding key performance indicators, right, and the roadmap process itself. So we look forward to having you tune in with us in the future, and we'll keep you abreast of any of the new presentations that we have to offer. Okay.